We're gonna start standing today. So go ahead and find a place at the edge of your mat. Feet will be a little bit wider than hip distance apart. And as always, take care of your body as we go. We'll be doing some stuff kneeling for a while towards the end of class, so if that starts to feel funky for your knees, I'll give options. But surprise, we're starting standing today. Gotcha. Great, okay. So go ahead and start by bringing your hands to the outside of your knees. You can soften your knees just a little bit so you can reach comfortably. Great, and just gently press the knees into the hands and the hands into the knees. So we're waking up that engagement through the outside of our outer hip, through our glutes here, and also a little bit of work in the arms. Great. And now see if you can keep that same pressure out with the knees, imagining that your hands are there. So bringing the arms now out in front of you, in front of your chest. Great. Lower the hips as much as you can here until they're close to in line with the knees. So as far as you can go without falling over. Yeah. And then see if you can bring the torso back just a little bit. Great. From here, we're just going to lower the hips an inch and lift them up. We want most of our weight on our heels. So you can lift all 10 toes if you'd like here to just test that out. If you'd like to wake up the upper back a little bit more, you can bring the arms above the head. Okay. Keep that imaginary pressure, the hands into the knees. Here we go. Already finding a hug of the belly button towards the spine. And those imaginary suspenders that we've talked about between the base of the rib cage and the hip bones. Good, we're here for 5, 4, 3. I'm gonna stand up in 2. Stand up now. And then come on back down. This time bring the hands to the inside of the knees. Great. Press the hands into the knees and the knees into the hands. So finding now that engagement through the inner thighs. Maybe an extra lift through your pelvic floor and an extra kind of automatic hug of the belly button to the spine. When we engage the inner thighs, all of that stuff is connected. Great. Really press for 3, for 2, 1. Now using the imagination to keep that feeling of pressure there, bring the arms either out in front of you or above your head, and then lower and lift. So now we're imagining that we're pressing the knees towards each other. Imaginary hands are pressing the knees away from each other. Great, we're lowering and lifting the hips. Keeping the breath going for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stand all the way up. One more time, finding that squat again. So weight is towards the heels. Our torso is on a diagonal. You can challenge yourself by trying to lift it up just a little bit. And then imagining that our hands, now we have 4 hands. Well, 6 hands. We have 4 imaginary hands and 2 real hands. And all of our imaginary hands are on our knees. 2 of them are on the inside and 2 of them are on the outside. So we have pressure going in and out. So there's engagement through the inner thighs and through the glutes here. We're lowering the hips and lifting. Checking in with the breath as well. So you can already breathe back and wide. Great. We're here for another 5, for another 4, 3, 2, and 1. Standing all the way up. We're just going to lower into that squat and lift up to standing. Finding the full movement here. Great. Seeing if you can keep that feeling of the hands, the inside and outsides of the knees. Great. Those little suspenders at the front of the rib cage. Good. We're here for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, stay standing. Bring your arms down by your sides if they're not there already. Soften your knees. And slowly tip the head forward, rolling all the way down, bringing the hands towards the mat. Great. As soon as you get down there, roll yourself right back up to standing. And then we'll build on this. So you'll lower into your squat, lift back up, roll yourself down. Once you're down, this time you'll walk yourself out into your plank, and then as soon as you get there, walk yourself back. Roll yourself up, find that squat. If any part of this situation feels funky for your body, or just not good today, you can take it out. You can also stay on your mat and just bring the knees down, taking some cats and cows. So finding articulation through your spine there, finding a little bit of support through the front of the torso and on all fours. Great. The next time you're in your plank, go ahead and take 2 deep breaths in there and then walk yourself back. So taking a little bit more time in this plank. Really pressing the hands down, lifting the chest through the shoulder blades, and then walking yourself back, rolling up, finding your 1 squat. I always thought that squat is a very funny word, but it's accurate in this particular context, so I guess I'll keep using it. The next time you're in your plank, take 3 breaths, so just a little bit longer here. And then the next time you're in your plank, stay. We'll meet here. You can always bring the knees down. Just come onto all fours if that feels better for you right now at this point. Great. Wherever you are, take 3 more deep breaths in and out. See if you can hug that space in between your hip bones up towards your sacrum a little bit as you exhale. Inhaling to the back and sides of the rib cage. 1 more deep breath in. And out. Great. Knees lower down. Sit on and back and swing the legs around right away. Out in front of you. Great. Scoot your way forward. So your knees are pretty bent. Bring the hands behind the knees here. And so we've talked about this as a full curl before. We've talked about it in terms of what's going on with the pelvis. So to start, I want this to be our pelvic tilt for today. So really focusing on just the movement of the pelvis, imagining that you have a wheel here that you can actually turn, and that's what brings your pelvis under, tucking a little, and then coming back up to sitting. So this can start pretty small so that you can really feel that space in between your hip bones moving back. And that's what helps to bring your pelvis wheel, to turn your pelvis wheel. And come back up. Okay. So thinking about the range of motion you would have if you were lying on your back, maybe you can actually mimic that here. You can really focus in on that tilt of the pelvis to start. Okay, we're exhaling as we go back and inhaling as we come forward, or ignoring my breath cues if they're not helpful. Let's take 2 more. 1 more. And then we stay back. And take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, tilt the pelvis a little bit more, curling a little deeper. Great, deep breath in, exhale, curl a little bit more. And again, in and curl. 1 more in and curl. Great, bring the arms out in front of you if they're not there already. Imagine where your belly button is. Really picture it in space, especially in relation to the mat underneath you. See if you can keep the space in between the mat and the belly button the same but bring the rib cage slightly forward. Great. Deep breath in one more time. See if you can actually shorten the space in between the belly button and the mat, and then bring the rib cage forward. Great. From here, we reach one arm up towards the ceiling, and then bring it back down, and then the other, and back down. Good. You can always bring your hands behind your thighs here if you need to readjust or if you just want that extra support. Great. 2 more on each side here. The belly button is trying to reach the mat, and the rib cage is trying to reach your knees. So we've got these 2 directions here. Great. And then both arms reach up and lower and reach and lower. Good. More challenge, just roll back a little bit farther and try and reach the arms higher, or the forearms closer towards the ears. Great. We're here for 5, for 4, 3, 2. Maybe you're getting a little shaky like I am. Let's leave the hands up towards the ceiling if they're there, and lower an inch and lift an inch, taking 10 little pulses here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We're coming up to sitting in 5, in 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come all the way up to sitting. Keep the arms out in front of you. Great. Hopefully we're feeling warmish by now. Reach the legs out in front of you as well. Great. We're going to curl the tailbone under, finding that tilt of the pelvis. Roll yourself just a little bit back and pause. Great. Roll back just a little farther and pause. A little farther. Thinking almost like one vertebra worth. A little farther. Good. If you're just dying for more challenge, a little farther, you can always bring the arms up above the head. Great, little farther. Great, we're gonna reach the ground in maybe 4 more, so measuring out however you need to there. 3, 2, last one. Great, all the way down. Great, bring the knees up towards the ceiling, bring the feet flat on the mat. Just take a couple of deep breaths here. We've made it to the floor. Now I'm going to return to that feeling of having our imaginary hands on the inside and outside of the knees at the same time. So taking a moment to revisit just the hands on the outside, see how that feels lying down. That feeling, yeah. And then just the hands on the inside. And then seeing if you can find a balance of both. We're going to go into our bridging here. We won't stay here for long today. Go ahead and take a deep breath in. Find that pelvis wheel that you found when you were sitting. Curl it under and slowly peel the spine up off of the mat, stopping in between the shoulder blades. Feeling that pressure in and out with your imaginary hands. Good. And then rolling all the way down. And back up again. Just a couple, just to start here. Make sure that you can see your knees in your bottom peripheral vision. So if you kind of are looking up towards the ceiling, you can still see the tips of your knees in your peripheral vision. That might mean nodding your chin to your chest just a little bit here to lengthen the back of the neck. Pressure in with the hands and pressure out with our imaginary hands. Okay, let's take 2 more. The next time you're up in your bridge, stay. We're going to take our typewriter today. So imagine that you have a stick balanced across your hip bones. We're going to slide the hips over to the right and then slide them over to the left. So the stick balanced on your hip bones doesn't tilt off of your hip bones. Okay. We're still pressing in and out with our imaginary hands and our knees into our imaginary hands. Great. You can always take a peek, see what's going on down there. This is feeling pretty comfy. You can bring the arms up towards the ceiling, just making a little bit more room in your back for articulation through the spine. We're going to roll the hips down just a little bit, maybe an inch, maybe a little less. And then again, swipe them from side to side, finding this typewriter. Check in with the breath here. Are you still pressing the knees out and in? Go down just a little farther, side to side. And a little farther. So hopefully feeling that articulation in a very specific part of the spine. So as we roll down, a different joint in our spine is the one getting the attention and articulation. Roll down a little bit farther. And then find your hips at a hover. So they're just barely touching the mat. Bring the hands behind you, back of the hands onto the ground. And just stay here for a moment. Hips going side to side. Pressing in and out with the knees. And then bring the hips all the way down. Keep the arms where they are. Roll yourself back up into your bridge. We're going to take those typewriters one more time, keeping the arms behind us. Noticing if that changes anything. Can you soften through your sternum? Like it's a piece of chocolate out in the sun. Softening through the jaw as well. Keeping the hug of the knees and the pressure out with the knees. At the same time, roll down a little bit, side to side with the hips. Roll down a little bit more, side to side. And a little bit more. And a little bit more, so they're just brushing the mat side to side. And then roll all the way down. Take a couple of rocks of the pelvis now here in this position, noticing how it's different than when we were sitting. Go ahead and bring the arms back down by your sides. Great. Settle the pelvis towards your neutral spine, so finding the hip bones and pubic bone pretty flat on the same plane. A little bit of space underneath the lower back for your blueberry or gummy bear or other small fragile object. And then bring the hands behind your head, interlacing the fingers. Make sure you can see your elbows and your peripheral vision. Check in with those rubber bands in between your earlobes and your shoulders. Make sure they're taut. And then on your next exhale, curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Thinking here about a wheel in the rib cage, and it's rolling or turning towards the hips to help bring the chest up. And then we lower back down. And again, exhale, curl. Inhale, lift, reach back. Two more. Keeping the head heavy in the hands. Keeping our rubber bands taut. And then the next time you're curled up, stay there. We're going to rotate over towards the left. Come back to center and then rotate towards the right. Come back to center. I'm exhaling as I rotate towards the left. Inhaling as I come back to center. Same thing, other side. On Thursday, we talked about baby crocodiles. So I'm imagining that my very small baby, very harmless crocodile is on the opposite hip bone as I rotate. So as I go over to the left, I have my baby crocodile on my left hip bone. No, my right hip bone. And then as I go over to the right, I have one on my left hip bone. If you do not want to deal with anything with teeth that sharp today, you can think about a labradoodle puppy or a fishbowl or a plant. If you don't want anything that will actually move, let's take two more to each side. Good. Can you lift up a little bit more through the center? One more to each side. How are your rubber bands doing? Great. Stay center. Take one more deep breath in. As you exhale, curl a little bit deeper. And then come all the way down. Keep the hands where they are. Keep the back of the rib cage pressing down into the mat. And then on your next exhale, bring the right leg up into tabletop. Okay. And then right away today, bring the left leg up into tabletop. You can always keep one leg down if that's better for you. Great. From here, we're going to curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Rotate the chest towards the left. Come back to center and then towards the right. Just a couple here. Great. Head stays heavy in the hands. The next time you're over towards the left, stay here. We're going to extend the right leg long away from us and bend it in. Keep the curl and rotation of the chest towards the left. We're just straightening and bending the right leg. Great. Check in with those rubber bands in between your ears and your shoulders, so especially the one in between your right ear and your right shoulder here. Make sure it's still taut. 3 more. How's the breath doing? You curl a little bit deeper. 2 more. 1 more. We're going straight over to the other side today. Lengthening the left leg and then bringing it back in. As you lengthen that leg, you think about more of a press. So like you're pressing a chair away from you here, sliding it away with your heel. Can you check in with that space between your left shoulder and the left earlobe? And you still have your baby crocodile or fishbowl, depending on your level of teeth that you want to deal with today, on your left hip bone. Let's take 3 more here. 2 more. You curl a little deeper. 1 more. Bring the head, neck, and shoulders centered. Take 10 little pulses up towards the ceiling with the head, neck, and shoulders for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the feet down. Bring the head down. So let the knees fall from side to side. And then we're all ready for our crisscross. So we're just going to bring all of what we just did into more movement. So bring the hands back behind the head. Find your neutral spine again. One leg comes up into tabletop. The other leg comes up into tabletop. Exhale, curl the head, neck, and shoulders up. Rotate over to the left. Extend the right leg. Lift the chest up to come center, bending the right leg. Go over towards the right, lengthening the left leg. Pressing it away from you. Lifting up to come through center. Keep going. So you can really find that pressure of the heel away from you. Good. Our rubber bands are taut. Our head is heavy in our hands. We're hugging the belly button and that space in between our hip bones towards our spine and towards our sacrum. Our baby crocodiles are balanced on each hip bone. We're breathing. Also important. Can you lift up even more as you go through the center? We're going to take 3 more on each side. Taking a break if you need one, whenever you need one. 2 more to each side. 1 more. We stay center, we lengthen both legs away from us and bend them back in. They can be pretty high here. Just finding that place right before the pelvis starts to tilt. We're here for 5. Can you curl a little deeper for 4? Still pressing the heels away. 3. Legs stay long in 2. Legs stay long in 1. Little pulses up towards the ceiling, the head, neck, and shoulders. Last little bit here for 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, and 1. Everything comes down. Great. Give your knees a hug. Take some circles with the knees here. And then reverse those circles. Whatever else your body is asking for. And then we're meeting lying down on your left side. For today, let's have both knees in front of us. So it's like our legs are in a tabletop kind of thing, but lying down on our side. Make sure that your sit bones are reaching directly towards the edge of your mat. And then float the right leg up and reach it out away from you. Find that same feeling of pressure of the heel away from you that you had lying down on your back. And see if that push out today, instead of the pull or being pulled, can help to lift your waist. Great. And then we bend the right knee in, and then again, push it out. And bend in, and push out. So we're trying to keep the leg in line with the hip here. Yeah. And using that action of the heel to help create more space in between our right hip and the right side of our rib cage. And of course, that space for our hedgehogs underneath our waist. Or if you're finding yourself attached to your baby crocodile, it can be what's underneath your waist here. Let's take 2 more just like this. Exhaling as we press out. 1 more. And then keep the right knee bent in front of you. Find that reach of your right sit bone towards the edge of your mat with that lift underneath the waist, and we just lift the right leg up an inch and lower. Okay, now is a great time to check in with the breath. So we're all set up alignment-wise. What can you now check in with that you don't need here? Maybe tension in your sternum or your jaw. Maybe in your shoulders that you don't need. Your wrists. Great. Let's take 2 more just like this, keeping that lift in your waist here. Great. Now we're going to keep the leg bent and bring the knee in line with the hip, so underneath us, kind of. We're thinking about our head as the top. Great. We lift the leg up an inch and lower. Now can you think about your knee pushing out away from you? So creating that same kind of effect, that same kind of work and direction that you had when your leg was long. Great. 3 more here. Great. And now press the leg a little bit behind you, just a little bit, and find that same lift and lower. So right here, it's pretty crucial to think about the balance of the hip bones on top of each other. So noticing if your top hip bone wants to fall backwards, you actually think about the right hip bone moving forward a little bit and the knee moving back. Hi, puppy. How's the breath? Can you hug the front of the rib cage slightly more towards your spine? Great. We're going to put this all together now. So the right knee comes forward. We lift it up and we lower. Then it comes in line with the hip. We lift it up and lower. Then it goes a little bit behind the hip and we lift it up and lower. And again, knee comes forward, up and lower. Keep going here, really taking time also with the transition. So noticing the stability of the pelvis through the transition. And if you haven't already tried this with a book, you can try out my book video where we use a book as a prop. And then you have a nice heavy book on the top knee too for this one. And it's so much fun. All right, let's take this 2 more times. How's your hedgehog / crocodile underneath your waist here? Can you actively make faces with your face, or is your face frozen? Just checking in. Last one. Knee comes forward. We take 10 last little pulses up towards the ceiling for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let it fall. Great. Open up into a twist for a moment, just letting that right side lengthen out a little bit. You can stay here in the twist or take a figure 4 stretch, whatever your body is asking for in this moment right now. And then today we're going to go straight over to the other side. So pressing yourself up, swinging the legs around, or just turning over to the other side, depending on your angle today. Great. So stacking the knees out in front of you. Great. Floating the top leg up and then pressing it away from you, feeling that pressure of the heel away from you, like you're trying to press a really tough button, or you're trying to push away a table or a chair or some other heavy object. And then bend the left knee. And again, press the left heel away, finding that lift it creates in the waist. Create that space in between the left hip bone now and the left side of the rib cage. Keep going here. Both sit bones are reaching towards the edge of your mat, so noticing if you start to curl the tailbone under a little bit here. You want to feel like you're sticking your butt out slightly. We're hugging the front of the rib cage towards the spine, making sure there's plenty of room throughout this whole situation for our pet crocodile. And I'm imagining mine, as I said on Thursday, with a purple harness, like one of those harnesses you put on cats, or you've seen, we used to have a guinea pig, and I got a leash for the guinea pig, and it's like a harness. And so you can take your guinea pigs on walks. But it didn't really work, to be honest. We tried. Let's take one more, because the guinea pig doesn't really, I know the idea of walking in a straight line. We're going to bend the knee now in front of us and lift and lower. But maybe my imaginary pet crocodile will, and so they'll really love the purple harness. I don't know. You just let the crocodile also roam free would be the nicest thing to do in that situation, I guess. We're breathing here. Checking in with the jaw and the sternum. What can we let go as we find all of this work in the glutes and the abdominals? Let's take 3 more. 2 more. 1 more. Now reach the knee out away from you. Lift and lower here. Feeling the pressure of the knee now away from you, like you had the leg or the foot earlier. Checking in with the breath. Thinking about the knee leading this action and the foot just coming along for the ride. We're here for 4, 3, 2, 1. Press the leg a little bit behind you, finding that opposition of the hip bone and the knee, and then lift and lower. Again, what can you let go of here? Maybe the space in between your eyebrows. Maybe your left shoulder. Your right ankle. 3 more. Taking a break whenever you need to. And then we put it together. The left knee comes forward. It lifts up once. It lowers. It reaches away from us. It lifts up. It lowers, and then it reaches behind us. It lifts up and lowers. And again. Paying special attention to the transition between each place. Checking in again with that space underneath your waist, making sure it hasn't dropped there. Keeping the hug of the rib cage towards the spine here as well. The head in line with the spine. Let's take 2 more. This is why we didn't do that much bridging, because hi glutes. How's it going? 1 more. They're getting quite enough attention here, I think. All right, left knee comes all the way forward, 10 little pulses up towards the ceiling for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let the leg fall. Awesome. Find your twist here for a moment. And then transferring into your figure 4 if that's what you did on the other side, or if that's what this side is asking for. Deep breaths here. Take 2 more breaths wherever you are. And then make your way onto your stomach. We're giving our scarecrow another visit today. I really love this exercise, so hopefully you don't mind it so much since you're here. We're gonna find our arms now in a cactus position, so 90 degrees away from our body. Take a moment with one cheek against the mat. Press your pubic bone down into the mat, lift the belly button up away from the mat, and see if you can press the tops of the feet, the shoelace side of the feet down into the mat a little bit more. So there's a lot of support and engagement there. Great. From here, go ahead and look straight down at your mat. Lift your head up just enough so that you don't squish your nose. And feel like someone is pulling the tops of your ears away from your feet. Great. From here, we're lifting the hands and the forearms, and we're lowering. Just the hands and the forearms, the elbows stay down here. Great. Keep going. For extra awareness challenge here, can you imagine that you have a popsicle stick on the front of your wrist? So noticing the length from the elbow all the way out of the fingertips. Trying to keep that long as you lift and lower the hands and the forearms. Great. The next time the hands and the forearms are up, they stay there, we lift the elbows. Stay here for a moment. Can you press the tops of the feet down into the mat more? Lift the belly button up away from the mat, like there's a miniature Christmas tree or a thumbtack or an ice cube underneath your belly button. And then tap just your right elbow down and lift it up. And then just your left elbow and up. Great. So there's a lot of work and support we're creating in the shoulders and the upper back, in between the shoulder blades, all of that. But also a lot of work and support being created with our abdominals and our glutes here. So even as the movement focuses in our upper back and our arms, we can still be building support underneath all of that. Great, the next time both elbows are up, keep them there. Feel them pulling away from you a little bit, east to west. And then lift up into a gentle arch. Keep the pressure of the tops of the feet here. Great, from here we reach the arms out in front of us and bend them wide into a wide V. So as our arms lengthen, we're not thinking about reaching the fingers right above the head. We're thinking about the opposition between the fingertips and the shoulder blades. So as the arms reach up, the shoulder blades move down the spine just a little. Great, can you arc up just a little bit more, keeping that lift of the belly button away from the mat. 2 more. 1 more, we've made it into our full scarecrow. So we're gonna roll all the way down. Lift the hands and the forearms on your inhale. Exhale, lift the elbows. Inhale, arch. Exhale, reach. Inhale, bend the elbows, pull wide, and exhale, roll down, elbows, hands, head. Keep going here. Hands and forearms, elbows, arch, reach, pull, and then roll down, elbows, hands, head. Slowing down if that feels better for you, so you can really attach one movement with each breath or each direction of breath. Can you keep the tops of the feet pressing down and the lift of the belly button as you go? Great. You take 3 more of these. Being aware of the space in between your chin and your chest here. So we shouldn't see much farther past the top of our mat at any point. The back of our neck stays long. We still have that pull of the top of the ears away from the feet, even in the arch. Right, I lied 1 more. The next time your arms are long, stay there. We're just gonna take 3 deep breaths here. You can bring the palms to face each other instead of face down towards the ground if that feels better for your shoulders. 1 more deep breath in and out. Bend the elbows, roll down elbows, hands, head. Sit the hips back, find a child's pose. Take a couple of deep breaths here. I think of Pilates as like entertaining vitamins or as enjoyable vitamins, but very much as vitamins, as something that supports us for the rest of our lives in the future, but also just in what else we do with our lives, in our lives. And thinking about Scarecrow as kind of one of the more important things we can do, especially for our neck and our shoulders, to create motion there and strength and support for all of the hours we spend on keyboards or reading books or standing up. Anyway, that's my spiel about that. We're gonna come up to sitting now. You're ready. And flip around so that you're at the long end of your mat. Now this is a time, if you have sensitive knees, to go ahead and fold your mat in half. Even if you don't have sensitive knees, but you're on a hard floor, I would recommend that. Just gonna feel better. And then widen your legs just so that the knees are about hip distance apart. Great. And now bring the hands again to the inside of the knees. Press the hands into the knees and the knees into the hands. Great. And then bring the hands to the outside of the knees. Press the hands into the knees and the knees into the hands. Great, one more time, hands on the inside. So this is the feeling that I want you to make sure that you have when we're doing all of this kneeling work, is this pressure in. It's really important to help keep the pressure off of the knees and also to help engage everything upwards. Great. You bring the hands down by your sides now. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, we're pressing up into a kneeling position. Great, awesome, everybody. Now, check in here. Can you imagine that you have your hands in between your knees here? So pressing outwards. So you're pressing the knees in, and the hands are trying to go outwards. Great. We're gonna hinge forward, so I'll give you a different view. Hinge forward from here, and then exhale, lift up. Great. This kneeling work, most of this kneeling work can be done standing, so from that squat that we did at the beginning of class, if that feels better for your knees and your body today. Yeah, exactly. Keeping that pressure of the knees inwards. 3 more, just like this. 2 more. 1 more. Staying lifted. Great, arms come out in front of us now. I'm going to take a hinge back. So head stays in line with the spine as we hinge back. And then lift back up. Great. So arms stay in front of you here for balance. Yeah. Hugging the belly button towards the spine. Keeping that pull of the top of the ears away from the knees. So in Pilates, this one is called thigh stretch because you are actively stretching your quads here, even as you use them. So this is a really great way to find extra motion through the front of the hips in addition to strengthening the quads and the glutes. Great. Super important here, keep that hug with the belly button, that feeling of our suspenders between our lower ribs and our hip bones. We're gonna take 2 more. 1 more. Great, and then we put that together. So we sit back, we come up, and we hinge back, and come up. Good. How's that pressure inwards with the knees going? Yeah, exactly. You can actually put something there too. That would be really helpful. 3 more. 2 more. Good, really folding in the front of the hips, sticking your butt back towards your heels as you sit back. Last one. Great, and then sit back all the way onto your heels. Take a moment here. Great. From here, you're gonna lift back up. Great. For our balance challenge of the day, shift your weight into your left knee. And then we're gonna extend the right leg out behind us, but for more challenge, see if you can do that with the right leg off of the ground. If you're like, nope, not today, keep the right leg on the ground. We're slowly extending the leg out to the side, bringing the foot on. Great, awesome, everybody. Arms come out to the side. Great. We're gonna keep the fingertips reaching away from each other. Then we're going to reach the left hand down towards the mat, just so the fingertips tap the mat, and then come back up. Great, and again. Great, awesome choices, everybody. Yeah. Just a couple here. I want you to check in now with what's going on behind your left leg. So can you still feel that engagement through the glute on the left side here that you had when you were in your kneeling position? So we're still in kind of a kneeling position with that left leg. So you have all that support that we've built up by just going up and down, still happening as we move the torso. 2 more. This time, bring the left hand all the way down onto the mat. You can stay on the fingertips or bring the hand flat. Great. See if you can keep that engagement through the back of the left leg into the left glutes. And then we'll exhale, lift the right leg up and lower. Make sure here that you can see your right toes in your peripheral vision. Great. Good choices, everybody. 3 more. We won't be here long. I know it's weird for the neck, especially 2 more. Last one. Bring the right foot down, come all the way up. We're going to put all of that together. So from here, shift your weight into your left knee. See if you can bring the right leg out, back behind you. So you come into your kneeling. We're going to sit back once, bring the arms out in front of you. We have our thighs stretch or hinge back once. We shift into the left knee, extend the right leg out to the side. Good. We tap the left hand once, we come back up. And then you bring the left hand all the way down. Lift the right leg up and lower. Great. We're going to go through that just 2 more times. If this starts to feel funky on your left knee at all, first of all, make sure that you have all of that engagement through the left glutes. Or try this in standing. Or take out something. So take the parts of this that feel helpful and don't worry about the ones that don't. Great. Once you're even, we're going to just take a moment, sit back on your heels, swing your legs around, and just give your legs a shake. Lap, 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 lap. Get all of that out. Give your shoulders a wiggle. Great. And we're just going to go ahead and do all of that on the other side. So swinging the legs back around. If you'd like a refresher, you can bring the hands between the knees again. Find that engagement. Great. We're going to go straight into our other side. So lifting all the way up first, finding that pressure in with the knees, but also that engagement through the back of the right thigh and into the right glutes. Then shift the weight into the right knee, keeping all of that support, lengthening the left leg out to the side. Awesome. Arms come out to the side. We tap the right hand down or the right fingertips down and then lift back up. Great. How's the breath going? Can we find a little bit more length in the back of our neck? So feeling that the tops of the ears reaching up away from the rib cage, let's say. We'll take 3 more just like this. 2 more, softening through the sternum, widening through your collarbones, feeling the fingertips pulling apart. Last one, bringing the right hand onto the ground. Great, we lift the left leg up and tap it back down, making sure that you can see the toes in your peripheral vision. And then checking in with all of that support through the right glutes and the back of the right thigh. Feeling the left fingertips pull up towards the ceiling, back of the neck long. Our suspenders between the lower ribs and our hip bones. Great. 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. Awesome. Last one. Come on up. We put all of it together on this side. So floating the left leg if you want that challenge, bringing it in. We sit back once. We hinge back once. We shift the weight into the right knee, floating that left leg out if you can. Yes, great. Tilting over, tapping once. And then bringing the hand all the way down, lifting the leg. And we go through that again. Again, taking out anything that doesn't feel helpful, modifying things so that this feels better for your body. Make sure you have that hug of the knees in when you have both knees down. And that support through the back of the right thigh into the right glutes when you are on one leg. One knee, I should say. Great, we're gonna go through this 2 more times. And now that we kind of have the sequence, seeing if you can check in with the breath. Maybe exhaling as you lift. Great, using the inhale to expand the head away from the knees. The exhale to hug the ribs and the belly button a little bit more. Making sure the jaw is soft. You can make faces with your face. Great. One more time all the way through. Great. Really testing your balance. Slowing down for more challenge, going a little deeper for more challenge. Great. Then once you've done all of that, we're just going to walk the hands forward, tuck the toes, and find your plank. Last minute of class for today. We're not going to spend all of it in a plank, but we are going to visit it just for a moment. Seeing if you can find that engagement through the glutes and the back of the legs even, but mostly the glutes in your plank. All that support we just built up through the hinging and the kneeling. Can you press the hands away from the mat a little bit more? And then find that pull at the top of the ears away from the hip bones. Deep breaths into the back of the rib cage here. Great, last little bit, we're gonna bend the knees, sending the hips towards the heels, and then exhale, straighten. Bend and straighten. So now really finding that work through the back of the legs and the front of the legs as you lengthen for 5, for 4, 3, 2. Awesome, last one. Send the hips up, find a downward dog, and right away walk the hands or the feet towards each other, and the feet towards each other. Soften the knees here. You can bring the hands to the outside of the knees, find that pressure out. And then bring the hands to the inside of the knees, find that pressure in. Bring the arms down, bend the knees even deeper, and slowly roll yourself up to standing. See if you can keep that awareness of the imaginary hands. Okay, once you make it to standing, take 2 last deep breaths in together. So in and out. One more breath in. And out. And that's it, you did it. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always